The Financial Survival Network, helping you survive and thrive in the new economy. Go to CarrieLutz.com and sign up for 30 free micro trainings on financial survival.
$14.90 WGCH. This is Carrie Lutz. You're listening to the Financial Survival Network, and it's time for another Triple Lutz report. Beautiful article in the New York Times, published on December 22nd, 2011, by John Schwartz. Michigan City turns down millions of dollars, saying federal money is not free. And it starts out, cats lie down with dogs, water flows uphill. A city turns down $8.5 million in federal grant money in what could be a new high watermark of anti-Washington sentiment. The city of Troy, Michigan is rejecting a long-planned transportation center whose construction would have been fully financed with federal stimulus money. The terminal, which would help Troy become a transportation node on an upgraded Detroit to Chicago Amtrak line, was hailed by supporters as a way to create jobs and to spur economic development. But federal money is federal money, so at the urging of the new mayor who helped found the local Tea Party chapter, the city council cast a 4-3 vote against it this week. Basically, they cast a 4-3 vote this week against granting a crucial contract, sending the project into limbo. There's nothing free about government money, Mayor Janice Daniels said in an interview. It is never free, and it is crippling our way of life. Other Republican office holders have said thanks but no thanks to federal money for high-speed rail and a host of other projects. But the Times is just totally despondent over this. They are so upset that a city could decide that, you know what, we don't want to do it with the federal government. We don't need the federal government. The federal government cannot create wealth. If they give us $8.5 million, they have to take it from someplace. And it's just going to hurt the people that they take it from. $8.5 million in the scheme of things is not a lot of money. But the government doesn't have that $8.5 million to give. It either has to tax it or it's got to create it out of thin air, print the money. And considering that the government is not increasing taxes, then they've got to take the money, they've got to print it out of thin air, borrow it from the Federal Reserve. And what happens then? It diminishes the purchasing power of the rest of the money supply. Now, you're not going to notice $8.5 million on trillions, but when the federal government is spending $1.8 trillion that it doesn't have, and $1 trillion or $2 trillion at a time is being created out of thin air by the federal government, then you're going to see inflation occur, loss of purchasing power. And what Troy has done is just a perfect example of what every other town, city, state, and county in the country needs to do: reject federal dollars. And then the other thing is, if we don't want your money, then don't take it from our citizens. It's really that simple. The sooner the country understands that the federal government destroys wealth, it doesn't create it, the better. Now, the governor of Michigan's upset, Rick Snyder. It's like, how could they do this? This is a terrible thing. And so many people are upset over this. It's just amazing. They even go into attacking the mayor because she put a slur up there against same-sex marriage a year ago. But look, if this is such a wonderful project, then why won't the private sector fund it? If it could make so much money and make wealth, then there would be a line of investors out the door looking to fund this project. But the fact that nobody in the private sector has stepped up, for instance, here it says, on Tuesday, an official of Magna International, a global automotive supplier based in Canada, whose American headquarters are in Troy, I think that's bad grammar. I think it should be American headquarters is in Troy, because headquarters is singular. But this is the New York Times. It's been dumbed down quite a bit, so to be expected. Anyway, Magna expressed frustration with the city council vote in a private email to Ms. Hodges and others that was posted to a blog that favors the transit center. I am drafting a memo to all Magna Group presidents and our Magna corporate executives, strongly recommending that Magna International no longer consider the city of Troy for future site considerations, expansions, or new job creation, wrote Frank W. Irvin III, the company's manager of governmental affairs. I have also recommended that wherever and whenever possible, we reduce our footprint and employment level in Troy in favor of communities that act in the best interest of residents and business, and that do not simply use their public position to advance their own private agenda. Now, this is an outrage. This is corporatism. It is fascism. It is everything that is wrong with the American system, plain and simple. Basically, what this is illustrating is this $8.5 million federal handout was a gift to Magna. Now, if Magna thinks that this thing is going to be useful, if they think that the terminal really is going to help them earn more money, they should pay for it. Why should the U.S. taxpayer pay for Magna to make more money? Magna needs to invest its own money. And if they're basically going to take their marbles and leave, you know what? Let them, because they're a parasitic company. They are living off the federal trough, and they deserve whatever they get, because this is a complete outrage. I applaud Mayor Daniels. I applaud the city of Troy's town council. Now, if they could figure out a way to bust the unions, to get rid of parasitic public employees, and I'm not saying all of them are parasitic, I'm saying the system with the unions and pension benefits and health benefits that are fully paid by the taxpayer, that is parasitic. Government workers, necessary ones, play a vital role in protecting our safety, protecting our health, and keeping our communities safe. But that doesn't mean that we have to pay for them from the moment they get employed to the moment they die, that we have to provide them with six-figure pensions and free taxpayer-funded lifetime health benefits. It's really that simple. By this decision, the city of Troy, Michigan, has struck at the heart of the American economic model, the post-World War I, World War II, corporatist, crony capitalist model that has helped take a once great country and destroy it. Look, when companies like GE pay zero income tax because they're able to get laws passed that they think are beneficial to them, that are beneficial, and they exploit a tax code that they helped get passed, then there's really something wrong with the system. And personally, I believe there shouldn't be a corporate income tax, because in the end, it's only consumers that pay for the income tax. The fact is, there should be no income tax, but the companies that have learned to exploit the loopholes are totally in favor of it. They're in favor of increasing taxes, and they're never going to pay any share of it. But the small companies, the small businesses out there, they're paying 35% at the federal level of their taxable profits. They're not able to take advantage of those loopholes that companies such as GE and others are. And then add in corporate welfare, because this payment, $8.5 million payment to build this terminal in Troy, Michigan, is just corporate welfare. Yes, times are tough, and it might have created some jobs, but it's going to do more harm than good, as every action of the government to pick winners and losers inevitably does. So kudos to Mayor Daniels, kudos to the city of Troy. I urge every city, every town, every county, every state to follow this worthy example, reject the bacon, reject the lard that's coming to them by way of Washington because the price of that bacon is way higher than anybody cares to think about. It's Kerry Lutz, then another Triple Lutz Report, signing off.